With LogicNets, you can create any application to make use of your unique business expertise without knowing how to program, and you do it all online. Our customers have built a broad range of applications used in a variety of business areas, including sales, like this product selector built by COBOL, or this medical application designed by the UCSF Medical Center. Or this health and safety portal for the Sports Production Safety Group. LogicNets is completely web-based. You build online applications using the LogicNets Designer, which you also access through your web browser. Under the Projects folder, you can see several existing projects. These are the same sample projects that are included with a free trial account. Let's open up Troubleshooting, for example, and you'll see it has two top-level folders, LogicNets and Resources. If you click the project name, you see high-level information about that project. At the heart of each project are LogicNets. A project consists of one or more LogicNets. In this example, there are two LogicNets, SB400 and Refrigeration Diagnosis. You can also create subfolders to help organize large numbers of LogicNets. And LogicNets can make use of resources such as images, documents, data, and also layout templates, which you can use to match the look and feel of your corporate branding. Before we dig further into the designer, let's take a look at what the end user sees when they use and interact with this troubleshooting project. You launch the project or application by clicking the Test button. This application is used by truck drivers to troubleshoot their truck's refrigeration unit. The first thing the user is prompted for by this application is the serial number. After entering this information, the user clicks the Next button at the top. That's the way the creator of this particular application has chosen to configure the navigation from one page to the next. Instead, for example, they could have used a Submit button after the serial number input field. The next screen asks for more information, but this time it's prompting the user to choose from a list using radio buttons. Depending on the answers selected by the user, when we click Next, the subsequent screen provides the appropriate information for that combination of answers. In this case, the application prompted the user to install some test equipment. The next page asks the user more questions as it continues to troubleshoot this refrigeration unit problem. Let's go back to the LogicNets Designer to see how these steps are set up. When you click the Designer tab here at the top, this takes you to the interactive part of the LogicNets Designer. Each LogicNet consists of a series of building blocks called nodes. Nodes are connected together to form a series of steps, in other words, a decision tree or process flow, and this is what constitutes a LogicNet. There are several different types of nodes. For example, this rectangular gray node is a process node. A process node triggers an action in the background, out of the sight of the user. There are many different types of actions that can be triggered by a process node. For example, it can perform a calculation, interact with data, even integrate with third-party applications, or send an email. Another type of node is the form node, represented by a yellow rectangle with rounded corners. If you remember the first screen that opened when we launched the application earlier, here is the designer view of that screen. The editor for a form node is similar to that of a word processor. On the left of the toolbar, you'll see buttons for formatting text, inserting images, or adding tables. The buttons on the right side are a little different. These allow you to add interactive components or controls to your form node. If you remember when we launched the troubleshooting application earlier, there was an input box for the serial number of the refrigeration unit. That was created here. You can edit an input box by double-clicking it. Now you can see how it's configured. The serial number entered by the user will be stored in the backend database under this field name. The next node in this LogicNet is another form node, and it's the next page the user saw when we ran the application. Here the application collects more information, this time in a radio button format. Here are the details of how this question is being asked and how the answer is being stored, this time under the name alarm codes. The next node will make use of that alarm codes data. That node is a rule. indicated by a red diamond. The system uses the data provided by the user, i.e. the answers to the questions, to determine what the next step will be. In other words, a rule determines the flow of your application based on the input received from the user. When you look further down this LogicNet, you'll see the different paths the application can take. Here is another type of node, called a router, shown as a blue oval. A router is closely related to a rule, except that a router can give you more than two paths to choose as a result of a user's input. This is a fairly simple application, but if you're building something more complex, instead of trying to contain all the process flows within one enormous LogicNet, you can create components of your application as separate LogicNets and link them using another type of node, a call node, represented by a white rectangle. A call node also allows you to reuse the same LogicNet across different applications. When you've finished your initial testing, you can publish your application. Once published, you can share the link to your application with your users. This published version of your application is a completely separate copy from what's in your designer, so that you can work on the next release while your users are working on the current version. Also, while you're developing your application, you can give your users the opportunity to provide feedback, which you can monitor from the LogicNets designer, along with additional usage information, all of which can help you fine-tune your application before you roll out the finished product. Are you ready to get your feet wet with LogicNets? Just visit LogicNets.com and click the free trial button to sign up for free access to LogicNets for 30 days and start building your first application today.